Chris, I mean, I love movies like this. They don't make them much anymore. When you got the script where you're like, yes, it's like harks back to the movies of our youth in many respects.
Yeah, and even further back than that, like I think if you're a big cinephile, if you watch the film, you'll notice that David Koepp and Adam Kozad made a lot of references to Marathon Man, to great thrillers of the '70s, and this is definitely a thinking man's spy thriller. It's different than James Bond or Ethan Hunt or James Bond.
With the whole spy genre, I mean, this film has that tag of reboot, as many films these days to do. Is it getting the mix between sort of having what you expect from a spy thriller and trying to modernise it? Is that the difficulty?
Yeah, because I think for 2014, people want to see there's an expectation of what you're going to walk into if you walk into a spy action thriller kind of film. So there's plenty of action in our film, but I think that what separates it from, again, an Ethan Hunt or James Bond or Jason Bourne is that the action's grounded. So a fight, for instance, that takes place in this bathroom is not between two trained killers. It's between a trained killer and a guy that's trying to figure out on the fly how to protect himself. And so it's, I don't know, grounded action.
But you still need the Mother Russia, don't you? I mean, you need to
I know,
tick those boxes.
for whatever reason we do. Yeah, we have what seems like maybe an archaic bad guy, but it does make a lot of sense in today's world. Whether the bad guy's Russian or American or whatever, it's the fact of the matter is that the economic world is so interconnected that what we depict in the film can happen.
You've mentioned Ethan Hunt, Bourne, Bond. Is that one of the main jobs of you selling this movie, to try and sort of separate the character in the eyes of the paying public, to say this is
I think
different kind of spy?
Yeah, and I think that's what we definitely, our goal setting out was, if we're going to put this guy back on screen, we should certainly try to make him a little bit different. There is definitely action in it, but it again is a thinking man's. It's a thinking man's film, and as the tagline says, "Intelligence is a weapon." There's no Q with special gadgets. There's no Aston Martins. It's about a normal guy, MacGyver style, trying to figure out this puzzle.
Do you think you would have done it if it had gone down sort of the Bond route with the gadgets and?
It wouldn't have been no. God, no. If there were no. What I've always liked about Jack Ryan is what Harrison Ford brought to the character, that he's a guy in a tweed jacket who's a teacher that just happens to be on the front lines of saving the world. And it's the fact that he would rather be elsewhere. He'd rather be at home with his family. You could see him cooking breakfast on a Sunday, reading the paper, fixing the house. He is a normal everyman, and that is I think that's the defining feature of him.
You mentioned Harrison Ford there. In many people's eyes, he is Jack Ryan as it stands. I mean, you've been in that position before, Captain Kirk, Bill Shatner. You've now done 2 Star Trek movies. I mean, is there a worry that taking on another iconic franchise, another iconic character, did you think, I don't really want to be known as the reboot guy?
Maybe stupidly, I never thought that would be something that people would characterize me as, probably naively, because the 2 biggest films I've been in to date are probably these 2 that you reference.
I'm coming at that, by the way, from a point of view that I think you've made Captain Kirk
no,
your own role.
I mean, it's a valid question, of course. And probably, yeah, you kind of inherit or ask to have a little bit more of that microscopic look into your work. But it's also fun. It's a challenge, and but might as well take some big risks and some big swings if you're going to do it.
You didn't sort of throw yourself into the world of Star Trek, did you, when you took on Kirk? You didn't watch sort of every episode of the original series, but
no, I watched a great deal of the original series and some of the films. But it was just the fact that I had to get some footing in the world, because I didn't really know it as well as, let's say, Jack Ryan.
But you knew this character more. Did that help or hinder you, do you think?
Don't know. In fact, I think actually maybe it was easier in the sense because I'd had 20 years of living with the character and the world and the stories and just knowing it, so I didn't have to. It wasn't a crash course, but there are pillars of this character, just like Kirk, that are what this guy is, and then you take what the new script gives you and then try to build around that.
I'll probably interview you between now and the next Star Trek 3, so I'll ask you once, and I promise I won't do it again. Star Trek 3, you heard anything about it, the plans, Who's going to be on board as director?
I got no. I don't have any idea about a director. I don't think the powers that be, that being JJ and company, know either. I've heard ideas about the story that seem interesting, but I think it's a very kind of nascent stage right now.
And Jack Ryan 2, you'd be up for it?
Be up for it. You know, as always, it's a business. You got to see if it makes money and we find traction in the marketplace. But I think there's room for this kind of character. I think hopefully after seeing all these kind of brooding, complicated, anti-heroic heroes, that there's room for kind of a classic good guy that wants to do right.